Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving the Judge. This is a 1969 Pontiac GTO with the Judge package. This was introduced in order to recover GTO sales because the GTO was pretty successful, but around this time, sales were in decline. So they took it upon themselves to create the Judge package, which was mostly an appearance thing. You get the spoiler, you get the Judge badging all over with the stickers, and the pinstripes down the side. This is unmistakably a GTO. And even though I'm not from this time period, this package is kind of what I associate with the GTO, despite the earlier cars maybe being more desirable. But this car, made ultra famous again by Dazed and Confused, is something that I just grew up thinking, whoa, that is what a cool Pontiac looks like. Powering the GTO is a 400 cubic inch V8 powering the rear wheels that makes 366 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. It is running through a 3-speed turbo hydromatic gearbox. It's an automatic, unfortunately, but that's okay because actually this automatic is a really nice cruiser. And today, I'm not out trying to drag race this thing. I'm just going out and cruising and making some noise, and that's exactly what this thing does incredibly well. You could option this with Ram Air 3 or Ram Air 4. The Ram Air 4 cars made a little more power, and they also said Ram Air 4 on it. The lettering on this is kind of funny because it looks like it says Rammy Air, but that's besides the point. But the nostrils give this thing such an angry look, and the nose cone, of course, quintessentially Pontiac, gluing us to the road. Somehow, these Goodyear polyglass tires still hanging on. These have fiberglass belts inside of them, and they had wider tread patterns than other tires at the time. So I'm sure we'll be able to get those to chirp with all the torque of this thing. But let's take a look around. First, when we take a look inside the car, it is a vast space, and those of you will notice who have a keen eye, no B-pillar. This glass rolls right down into the body, and then you've got all this space in the rear bench. It's pretty massive. Then over here, a couple of captain's chairs. We've got lap belts, we've got shoulder belts, we've got our transmission, but otherwise inside, very GM stuff. It's vinyl, it's plastic, but somehow this has held the test of time, despite this not being like the perfect car. This one isn't exactly a garage queen. It's got some patina on it. It's seen some things, but it's running. And it's got 81,000 miles on it. In the back, we've got this monster spoiler with the Judge on there. Everything about this car just has IP written all over it. You cannot mistake what it is. To fill fuel, you've got your fuel filler behind the license plate. Very cool, very 1960s and 70s. And then to get in the trunk, we use our second key. You've got one for the ignition, one for the locks. We'll pop this guy open. And pretty barren in here. This one seemingly has lost all of its interior bits. No carpeting here, just our license plate and a couple things that I'm carrying around today. But very simple. Let's get under the hood because this is where this thing gets really special and cool. Under here, we pop the hood using this latch down here. So a little sketchy in terms of security. Anyone could really get in there. And then there is our 400 cubic inch V8 with this big old air cleaner and vacuum lines and a little cable because there's a Ram Air pull inside the cabin in order to let more air in. And the block is painted Pontiac blue, so you can see that it is what it's supposed to be. If this was a Chevy engine, it'd be orange. So let's start it up, take it for a ride, and see how it operates. To start the Judge, we've got two keys. The ignition key is the square key. It makes sense because it fits into this square ignition on the steering column. And there she is, running like a champ. Listen to this thing from the back. This is what I love about it. I'm pretty sure this has glass packs on it. Oh, unmistakable. This is too cool. has so much torque down low, it's so easy to just lumber along. And there's no tachometer here, but you could option a tach on the hood, which is the coolest option possible. Honestly, a hood-mounted tach is the stuff. Now, they made convertible GTOs, but this obviously isn't one of them. With all of this real estate open on the sides, though, so much airflow getting through the cabin, it really is a nice airflowy experience. It's better than what you'd think of in most coupes. This is great. So I do feel like I'm pretty exposed to the elements, and I'm getting all of the sounds from this exhaust because those are open. It's reflecting off of all of the surfaces and coming right back at me. The steering is ultra light, and I mean ultra light. It really takes very little effort to move this steering wheel around. It is maybe for the sake of luxury. Maybe that's why they have these like hyper overpowered power steering racks. I would like to get a little more through it, but I think it kind of adds to the cruiser charm, especially because it is a very thin steering wheel, which I find to be oddly elegant, despite the fact that it's not some fancy even plastic or leather thing. It's just kind of like a vinyl feeling thing. But you've got the little finger grabs on the back, and I think being so light and dainty kind of adds to its cool charm because it's just effortless to drive. Got our blinker stock here, very simple to use, and down on the floor we've got our high beam switch, so you'd use that with the floor actuated pedal. Little wheel chirp, mostly because these are pretty old and it does not take much to get this thing to start spinning tires. Let's see, is he going across? What a fella. Oh, it's so chill. I mean, it's such an angry sounding engine, but it's actually really relaxing to drive. Look at this little 2002. All the classics out today, baby, but wow, what a different philosophy. Lightweight, low displacement, fun German thing. Oh, I can smell it. And then you've got this boat of a muscle car. It doesn't really want to jump around a corner. You can tell this was designed for light-to-light racing. But it just takes so little effort on the throttle to get it to do what you want. Now the brakes, I mean, they seem formidable, which is interesting. They're discs in the front, drums in the rear. They don't look that beefy. But honestly, I'm kind of impressed by the pedal feel on this. I thought this was going to be scary. Listen to the chop. Oh, angry. It's pretty chill. I don't have a tachometer, so that hood-mounted tach would come in handy for me right now just to know where we're sitting, but we're just cruising along. Probably sucking down a lot of fuel. See if it gives us a downshift. That's awesome. No passenger side mirror, so we've got to be a little cautious, but we have tons of visibility. We'll let this fella I can't believe you get this this wheel spin on the shifts. I mean, I'm not really trying for that. It's going for it. Maybe saying more about the tire grip than the engine's torque, but that's okay. The Judge trim package is named after a sketch they were doing on Laugh-In, which is so funny to me that there was these pop culture references in cars. For example, you had the Plymouth Roadrunner, and that had the meep meep horn based off the cartoon. And I don't know that there's necessarily things like that today. You saw that kind of occur in, I want to say, the late 90s, where there was a Warner Brothers version of a Montana, the minivan, the Pontiac minivan. But I can't really think of anything else that's like that today. It would be like if an SNL character sparked a trim level on a Toyota. It would just be very strange. I do miss Pontiac. That is a brand that I wish did not die in the midst of the bankruptcies and the craziness of the financials of all these car companies. Let's see. I wish they had two cars. I wish they had a Bonneville, a big front-wheel drive stately sedan, and a GTO. I would love for them to bring back the GTO because it is an icon. And now that the Camaro's gone, the GTO could actually serve a cool purpose and be a luxury performance thing. I get it. We're moving away from V8s. GM products are going very electrified, and they're doing this whole thing. But there is something to be said for the fact that Pontiac today could still serve a pretty impressive purpose. And I wish it would. This V8 sounds so good that I don't mind being in traffic, because when you're at idle, listen to it. And it has so much torque that the whole chassis is moving just under idle. Thank you. I'm getting all these kudos. I just had to turn the camera back on because all these kids are saying, I like your car, nice car. So motorsports is not dead. The kids don't want necessarily Teslas. They still see this and they're like, damn, that is cool. There's no cats or emissions equipment on it, so I do feel a little bad when I pass someone running or walking. Oh, great Z3, beautiful. Because I'm just smoking them out with exhaust. But this car's from 1969, so maybe there's something to be said about, like, well, if you're still driving this, maybe it's more economical because you didn't have to build an entire new car to get what you needed. Oh, there's that 2002 we just saw earlier. No kidding. Small world. Suspension's okay. It's a little floaty, as to be expected. But it handles the bumps all right. This kind of car is a little bit gone now, because even a big powerhouse of a Camaro from the last few years is a track star. This is not a track star. This can go on the drag strip. A Hellcat might be as close as you can get to this sort of vibe, but hey, a Hellcat doesn't handle poorly. It still gets around a corner. You gotta baby it a little bit here and there, and it's obviously overpowered for what its capabilities laterally are, but that's okay. This is just a bygone time where the handling characteristics around a corner were not necessarily that important. As long as it made the right sounds and had the torque to get you down the road, that was enough. And I'm not saying I want that back. I am saying, though, it's fun. And it is interesting that there were cars that could go around a corner at this time, and there were cars that could not. And there was this interesting trade-off. Like, you buy the Porsche 911 or the little BMWs, or you go get something big and beefy like this or a Chevelle, and they weren't necessarily track stars, but they could sure get you down the hill in a straight line pretty quick. So that's going to wrap us on the 1969 Pontiac GTO with the Judge package. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you to Bond Group for tossing me the keys to this legendary icon. I got to drive some more muscle cars because these are a lot of fun. There's so much charm, and it goes to show that you don't need something to be a track star to be entertaining. This is a fun package, it's entertaining, and I can't stop smiling, nor can everybody I pass. Everybody gets a look at it. It's almost inoffensive because everybody has a connection to this, whether they even driven one or been in one or not. It has a place in pop culture, and that's really cool. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.